Anh có một món quà cho em đây.
Thật à? Là gì vậy anh?
Chiếc điện thoại mới em thích đó.
Ồ, đẹp quá. Em cảm ơn anh nhiều.
Hello, dear viewers. Today, we bring you a heartfelt story about CEO Quan and Tieu Lac during the first days of the Lunar New Year. After spending many days celebrating in the busy, glamorous city, CEO Quan finally returns to the countryside farm where a gentle girl has been quietly waiting for him. Their reunion under the warm spring sunlight becomes an emotional moment as Tieu Lac bursts into tears in his arms, having endured loneliness and unfair treatment all by herself throughout the holiday. But Quan doesn't just return, he brings a meaningful gift, a new mobile phone, symbolizing his promise that no matter where he goes, he will always stay connected to her. Patiently, he teaches her how to use it, slowly erasing the distance between the city and the farm. And in the quiet glow of a spring afternoon, he gently wipes away her tears and sincerely promises that he will never let her face loneliness alone again. This is not just a love story, it is a journey of understanding, growth, and choosing to stand by each other despite the distance. If you enjoy touching and emotional love stories like this, please don't forget to like, share your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next episodes. Thank you so much for your support. After many days celebrating Lunar New Year in the city, CEO Quan realized that no dazzling banquet, no expensive wine, and no polite business conversation could quiet the longing in his heart. Surrounded by flashing lights and endless congratulations, he smiled and fulfilled his responsibilities as a successful businessman. Yet, every night, when he finally returned to his quiet room, his thoughts drifted back to the countryside, to the small wooden farmhouse, the scent of fresh hay, and the image of Tieu Lac standing alone at the gate, watching the road as if hoping he would suddenly appear. While the city overflowed with fireworks and laughter, he imagined her simple New Year at the farm. She would probably wake up before sunrise, sweep the yard, feed the chickens, and prepare modest holiday dishes by herself. She had always been gentle and hardworking, never complaining, never demanding more than she was given. But he knew this year was different. This was the first Lunar New Year since their hearts had quietly drawn closer, and he had not been there beside her. The thought tightened something deep inside his chest. On the final morning of his stay, without informing anyone of his exact schedule, Quan left the city earlier than planned. He personally drove back to the countryside, refusing the offer of a driver. The further he moved away from the tall buildings and crowded streets, the lighter he felt. The air became fresher, the roads emptier, the sky clearer. With every kilometer, his anticipation grew stronger. When the familiar wooden gate of the farm finally appeared in the distance, his heartbeat quickened in a way no business deal had ever caused. He slowed the car, almost afraid the moment would disappear if he moved too fast. The sound of the engine entering the yard broke the quiet afternoon. From inside the house, Tieu Lac froze. For a brief second, she thought she was imagining things again. Over the past few days, she had often mistaken the wind or the sound of distant vehicles for his return, but this time, it was real. She stepped outside, her heart pounding, and there he was. Standing beside his car, still dressed neatly but with travel dust clinging to his coat, CEO Quan looked at her with an expression that held relief, longing, and guilt all at once. "And Quan," her voice trembled as if she feared the vision might vanish. Without thinking, she ran toward him. The distance between them closed in seconds. She threw herself into his arms, clutching his coat tightly. All the strength she had forced herself to maintain during the holiday collapsed at that moment. The loneliness, the silent tears at night, the subtle coldness she had endured from others while he was away, all of it surged to the surface. She began to cry. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quiet, shaking sobs that soaked into his chest. Quan immediately wrapped his arms around her, holding her as if she were something fragile he was terrified of losing. He felt how thin she seemed, how tightly she gripped him, as though afraid he might leave again. "I'm back," he whispered softly, resting his chin against her hair. During his days in the city, he felt incomplete. Now, standing in the open yard of the farm with her in his arms, he finally understood why. Success, status, and celebrations meant nothing if the person who waited for him felt abandoned. The spring sunlight spread gently across the fields, illuminating the quiet farm that had witnessed her loneliness. But in that embrace, something shifted. The emptiness he had carried dissolved, replaced by a deep determination. He had returned, not just to the farm, but to the person who mattered most. And in her trembling hug, he felt both her pain and her unwavering love. After Tieu Lac's tears had slowly quieted and her breathing became steadier, Quan gently guided her inside the wooden farmhouse. The late afternoon sunlight filtered through the thin curtains, casting warm golden patterns across the simple living room. Everything looked just as he remembered. The small wooden table, the neatly folded blankets, the faint scent of dried herbs she always kept near the window. Yet to him, it all felt more precious than before. He watched her move shyly to pour him a cup of warm tea, as if afraid that if she stopped being useful, he might disappear again. That thought pierced his heart. "Lac," he called softly. She turned toward him, her eyes still slightly red, but calmer now. There was hesitation in her gaze, as though she didn't dare to expect too much happiness all at once. Quan reached into the pocket of his coat and carefully took out a small, elegant box. He held it in his palm for a second before offering it to her. "I brought you something." Her eyes widened with surprise. For me?" He nodded. "Open it." With trembling fingers, she lifted the lid. Inside lay a brand new smartphone, its smooth surface reflecting the warm light of the room. For a moment, she simply stared at it, unsure whether she was even allowed to touch something so modern, so far removed from her simple farm life. I don't know how to use this," she admitted quietly, almost embarrassed. Quan smiled gently and moved closer, sitting beside her on the wooden bench. "That's why I'll teach you." There was no trace of impatience in his voice, only tenderness. He took the phone from the box, powered it on, and placed it carefully in her hands. His fingers brushed hers, warm and steady. "Look, this is how you answer a call." He guided her thumb across the screen. "And this is how you call me." He typed his name into the contact list and showed her the green call button. Then he demonstrated how to send a simple message. Every step was slow and deliberate. When she hesitated, he repeated it. When she pressed the wrong icon, he laughed softly, not to mock her, but to ease her nervousness. Tieu Lac leaned closer, concentrating intensely, as if learning something sacred. Each time she successfully completed a step, her face lit up with a small, proud smile. It was a look so pure that Quan felt an unexpected tightness in his chest. "This way," he said quietly, "even if I have to travel, even if I'm far away for work, you won't be alone anymore. You can call me anytime, day or night." She looked up at him, searching his face as though trying to measure the truth of his promise. "Really? Anytime?" "Anytime," he repeated firmly. For years, she had accepted distance as something inevitable in loving someone like him. He belonged to a world of business meetings, contracts, and responsibilities far beyond the boundaries of the farm. She belonged to the soil, the animals, and the quiet rhythm of rural life. But now, with this small device in her hands, the invisible wall between those two worlds seemed thinner. She traced his name on the screen with her fingertip. "It feels like you're closer," she whispered. Quan gently covered her hand with his. "Because I want to be closer." The phone was not simply a gift purchased in the city. It was his apology for the nights she had waited without hearing his voice. It was his answer to the silent loneliness she had endured during the holiday. Most of all, it was a promise, one he intended to keep, that no matter how far his work might take him, he would never allow silence to separate them again. In that quiet farmhouse, surrounded by nothing luxurious, a simple phone became a bridge between two hearts determined not to drift apart. As the evening slowly settled over the farm, the sky outside turned shades of soft orange and fading pink. The sounds of nature returned, the distant chirping of crickets, the gentle rustle of leaves in the cool spring breeze. Inside the small wooden house, however, everything felt still, as if time itself had slowed to protect the fragile moment between them. Tieu Lac sat quietly beside Quan, the new phone resting carefully on the table. Though she had smiled earlier while learning how to use it, something unspoken still lingered in her eyes. She kept glancing at him, as though afraid that if she looked away too long, he would disappear once more. Finally, she gathered her courage. "And Quan," her voice was soft, almost breaking. "This Tet, I was really lonely." The words were simple, but they carried the weight of days and nights she had endured alone. She lowered her gaze, her fingers tightening around the edge of her sleeve. Everyone else had family, had someone to sit beside them. I tried to be strong. I told myself you were busy, that I shouldn't disturb you. But sometimes I just wished you were here. Hearing this, Quan felt a sharp ache spread through his chest. During those days in the city, he had convinced himself that she would understand. He had believed that his responsibilities justified his absence. But now, facing her vulnerability, he realized how deeply she had been hurt. He gently reached out, lifting her chin so she would look at him. Her eyes were shining again, tears threatening to fall. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, his voice thick with regret. "I should never have let you face those days alone." A tear slipped down her cheek before she could stop it. Instinctively, he brushed it away with his thumb, his touch careful and tender. One tear became two, then more, as if her heart could no longer contain everything it had held back. "I was scared," she admitted in a whisper. "Scared that maybe your world is too big, that one day you'll choose it over me." The honesty of her confession struck him deeply. He had always seen her as gentle and obedient, rarely expressing her fears, but now, in the fading light of the evening, she was simply a girl afraid of being left behind. Without hesitation, Quan pulled her into his arms. He held her tightly, firmer than before, as if trying to shield her from every doubt, every insecurity. He could feel her trembling against him, her face pressed against his chest. His hand moved slowly through her hair, soothing her like one would calm a frightened child. "Listen to me," he said softly but firmly. "My world may be big, but it means nothing if you're not in it. Success, business, the city, they're all just responsibilities. You are my choice." She froze slightly at his words. "I promise you," he continued, his voice steady now, filled with determination, "I won't leave you behind again. If I have to go somewhere, I'll make sure you're never alone. I'll come back sooner. I'll call every day. I won't let distance hurt you like this again." She slowly lifted her head, searching his eyes for hesitation, but there was none, only sincerity. "Really?" she whispered. "Really," he replied. Outside, the last light of day faded completely, replaced by the gentle glow of evening. The farm, which had felt empty during his absence, now felt warm again, alive with the quiet reassurance of two hearts choosing each other. Tieu Lac's tears gradually stopped. In their place came a small, genuine smile, the kind that came not from gifts or grand gestures, but from feeling secure. She rested her head against his chest once more, but this time without fear. And as he tightened his embrace, Quan silently repeated his promise to himself. No matter how far life tried to pull him, he would always return to her, not out of obligation, but out of love.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Mí Tiểu Lạc Review. Vậy là câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đã kết thúc tại đây. Trong câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đã kể về nội dung đó chính là sau kỳ nghỉ Tết thì CEO Quân đã quay trở lại nông trại và hai người CEO Quân và Tiểu Lạc đã đoàn tụ với nhau rất là vui vẻ và hạnh phúc. Sau những ngày ăn Tết xa nhau thì Tiểu Lạc rất là vui mừng khi gặp lại CEO Quân, và một điều đặc biệt bất ngờ mà CEO Quân đã dành cho Tiểu Lạc đó chính là việc anh đã mua tặng cô một chiếc điện thoại di động để cả hai người có thể liên lạc với nhau khi xa cách, vì đợt Tết vừa rồi hai người đã ở xa nhau mà không có điện thoại liên lạc, nên anh không hề biết và cô cũng không hề biết tình trạng của hai người ra sao, và nỗi nhớ nhung thì rất là kéo dài nhiều ngày. Mọi tình tiết hấp dẫn về câu chuyện Tiểu Lạc và CEO sẽ còn được kể ở các video tiếp theo. Các bạn đừng quên bấm vào nút đăng ký kênh để nhận được thông báo mới nhất về các câu chuyện sẽ được mình phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh vào lúc 17 giờ Việt Nam nha. Và đừng quên, đặc biệt hãy bấm vào giỏ hàng được đính kèm ở trên video để mua các sản phẩm ủng hộ Tiểu Lạc nha. Tiểu Lạc cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Thanks for support their channel. Bye bye.